Yes, he's a big enough name to go after with these charges that have been leveled against him. No doubt about it. Federal charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion, transportation, and engage in prostitution, etc. Those are very serious charges. And he's a big enough name. He's worth over $400 million. He's a public figure. Very high profile. Yes, that's a big enough name. I don't believe all of this is happening because it's just Sean P. Diddy Combs thereafter. I believe thereafter others as well. And just like I learned from the Mission Impossible, the first one, when those guys that were chasing Ethan Hunt, a.k.a. Tom Cruise, was saying, this is not complicated. You find somebody's soft spot and you squeeze. You squeeze Sean P. Diddy Combs. Knowing he's a public figure, knowing the connections that he had, knowing that he wasn't in this alone, assuming they're right with the charges and allegations that they've leveled against him. To get others. This is some serious, serious business. They ain't even just talking about his abuse. One of which was caught on video when he hit his ex-girlfriend or his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. This isn't even just about continuous physical abuse spanning years in terms of the allegations and accusations that have been thrown out about him. They're calling this a criminal enterprise, which means there's a boatload of other people involved. They're using words like prostitution, essentially implying there was a prostitution ring going on.
When high-profile individuals like Diddy and Jay-Z face serious allegations, concerns about the safety of victims and witnesses can arise. In such cases, it's crucial for law enforcement agencies to take appropriate measures to protect those who might be at risk.
Diddy is not going down without a fight. Diddy's close associate has been making waves recently. So Stevie J, a notable producer implicated in one of the lawsuits and was there during the raids, took to TMZ Live to defend his friend Diddy. But that's just the beginning of the story. Stevie didn't stop there. He took to Instagram to drop a bombshell by sharing footage from Diddy's star-studded 50th birthday bash, attended by the likes of the Kardashians, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kanye, and Kevin Hart. So with the lawsuit alleging Diddy holds compromising footage of all attendees from his infamous parties, Stevie J just issued a stark warning to all his friends.
The indictment states that Diddy used substances to control the victims, keeping them compliant during his notorious events. Afterward, he allegedly provided IV fluids to help the victims recover, further showing the premeditated and exploitative nature of these acts.
And that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video and later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance. Because of all of this, the indictment alleges that the victims did not believe they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse.
Smith compared Diddy's situation to infamous cases like Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein, highlighting the broader implications for the entertainment industry. Smith emphasized that Diddy's arrest is not just about one individual, but could expose a larger network within Hollywood and the music industry, potentially implicating others.
You went after Jeffrey Epstein. You went after Harvey Weinstein. Who else are you after? You're trying to get everybody. And that's what I think this is about. And I'm just reading from some of these stories because I think it's important to point this out. when you highlight and you talk about some of the charges that have been leveled against him, and you see some of the stuff that's being said about him. Look at this right here. Former Danity Kane singer Aubrey O'Day writes, "I never thought I would see this day," she told TMZ. "We all buried this inside of us in order to be able to keep going. And not just me, but victims you don't even know yet. We're all processing what that type of vindication can actually feel like now. Every conversation I've had with victims last night has been beyond moving on all levels." That was Aubrey O'Day. You know 50 Cent was going to make sure his voice was heard. Clowning P. Diddy. Taunting him, basically, because he's long taunted P. Diddy for years.
Diddy was arrested in New York City, facing multiple federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and related offenses. The indictment alleges that since 2009, Diddy operated a criminal enterprise that exploited and misled women through orchestrated private parties.
Diddy has been arrested in New York City after a grand jury indictment, and we have the breaking news. Though charges in the indictment are unknown, Billboard has confirmed the arrest. The rap mogul has been hit with at least 8 civil lawsuits alleging sexual abuse over the past year. Now, according to TMZ, Diddy was taken into federal custody at the FBI's Manhattan field office. In a statement to Billboard, an attorney for Diddy said, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Sean Diddy Combs is a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man. He is an imperfect person, but he is not a criminal." We'll keep you posted as the story develops. For everything we know, head to Billboard.com.
His arrest followed a grand jury indictment, and he was taken into custody by Homeland Security agents.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today, I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice.
These events involved orchestrated intimate performances in which women were allegedly forced to take substances and manipulated. The indictment also claims that Diddy used these recordings as blackmail to ensure their silence and compliance. He is additionally accused of bribery, obstruction of justice, and forced labor, with his associates allegedly helping him facilitate and cover up these activities.
The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs.
In addition, Diddy is accused of recording these encounters and using the footage as leverage to ensure the victims' silence and continued compliance, threatening their careers and reputations if they did not cooperate.
I have learned from sources that investigators have found several weapons inside his homes. Several. They also have found videos. It's been reported that Diddy has collected images of people in compromising situations at his residences. TMZ now obtained this video inside his home in Los Angeles after the raid by federal agents. It's reported that Diddy is the target of a sex trafficking investigation that comes after he was hit with a wave of civil lawsuits alleging sexual assault and trafficking. I've also learned exclusively that Diddy is in Miami. Authorities know exactly where he is. They've been in touch with his legal team. Sources tell me he's trying to avoid the paparazzi, and they're telling me he will not be arrested soon. You know Diddy, right?
Yes.
In what way?
Back in the 90s, I was assigned to the NYPD. I was the hip-hop cop back then, so I had to assist in arresting him in several instances where there were some crimes committed.
What were those arrests for?
One was the Club New York shooting. He was with J-Lo at the time, and the other one was the Steve Stout assault that happened with MTV.
Deal suggests that junior artists, under the pressure of powerful music moguls, often felt compelled to engage in questionable activities as part of a toxic culture within the industry. Deal described this as horseplay, or behavior that young artists felt obligated to follow, driven by a desire to fit in and advance their careers.
We didn't call it grooming back then. That his horseplay was a way of letting you know I could really hurt you if I wanted to. You get it? I could really hurt you. And that's what that kid probably felt.
This behavior, according to Deal, was part of the broader culture of power dynamics and control used by figures like Diddy to manipulate those around them.
But I mentioned that earlier, that he said about Stevie J. The Usher part, that's a touchy situation, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I had a certain feeling, and I felt a certain way when Usher got on Shay Shay, and I don't mean to mention other people's platforms, but he got on Shay Shay and he mentioned how great and how good Puff taught him and everything. You know what I'm saying? About the business, right? I know, and people know, that was around that in that time that Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Now I let Usher explain that to y'all. I let Usher tell that story. But how dare you say a man that groomed you, you gonna give him a pass? Bruh, you know I know.
These cameras were reportedly used to secretly record activities at the parties without the knowledge or consent of the attendees. The footage captured by these cameras is believed to be crucial evidence in the ongoing investigation.
You know Diddy, right?
Yes.
In what way?
Back in the 90s, I was assigned to the NYPD. I was the hip-hop cop back then, so I had to assist in arresting him in several instances where there were some crimes committed.
What were those arrests for?
One was the Club New York shooting. He was with J-Lo at the time, and the other one was the Steve Stout assault that happened with MTV.
I have learned from sources that investigators have found several weapons inside his homes. Several. They also have found videos. It's been reported that Diddy has collected images of people in compromising situations at his residences. TMZ now obtained this video inside his home in Los Angeles after the raid by federal agents. It's reported that Diddy is the target of a sex trafficking investigation that comes after he was hit with a wave of civil lawsuits alleging sexual assault and trafficking. I've also learned exclusively that Diddy is in Miami. Authorities know exactly where he is. They've been in touch with his legal team. Sources tell me he's trying to avoid the paparazzi, and they're telling me he will not be arrested soon.
After the FBI raided Sean Diddy Combs' properties and seized over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricants, 50 Cent wasted no time mocking the situation on social media. He humorously posted a photo of himself with Drew Barrymore, captioning it, "Here I am keeping good company with Drew Barrymore TV, and I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house."
P. Diddy for years over the harrowing allegations against him. And what does he say here? This is yesterday, 50 Cent. Here I am keeping good company with the Drew Barrymore TV show, and I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house. 50 Cent was referencing the over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricants for the freak-offs that the indictment revealed were allegedly found during the raid of Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami back in March.
Jaguar Wright reacted to the news of 1,000 bottles of lube found at Diddy's mansion by stating that this revelation further confirms her past allegations about the music mogul. She remarked that this kind of discovery aligns with what she has been warning about regarding Diddy's behavior.
Wow, I did not know it was this bad. So the judge just denied Diddy bail. Diddy offered $50 million. He said, I will pay $50 million if you let me out until the trial. They said, nah, he's too much of a risk to the community. Do you know how much of a threat you have to be to offer $50 million and the judge should still say, nah, I'm too scared you're gonna throw another party? They let serial killers out on bail. It might have something to do with the 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube that they found at his home when they raided it. That's just my guess, though.
Foxy Brown's reaction to Diddy's arrest was indeed notable. She took to Instagram to share her thoughts, posting a cryptic message that read, "Shit about to get really crazy." This post came in the wake of Diddy's arrest on serious charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering.
Of course, Foxy Brown had something to say. Shit's about to really get crazy. And obviously, the Breakfast Clubs, the one and only Charlamagne the God, because remember, this show was carried on Revolt TV. That was once owned by P. Diddy. And what did he post? He said, if Diddy gets racketeering and sex trafficking charges for freak-offs, there will definitely be others involved. And of course, the United States Attorney said, we're not done. This investigation is ongoing. They're going after more than P. Diddy. And by the way, one of the attorneys came out because they're disgusted by what's happening. Reading from an article here on Yahoo, the arrest of music mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs is not about the 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube discovered during the March raids on his Los Angeles and Miami properties. It's about allegations of coordinated and documented physical and sexual abuse. It's not about the slickly named freak-off parties. It's about alleged systemic coercion, threats and trafficking of multiple women over many, many years. It's not even about Diddy, or at least not just Diddy. It's about the hundreds of people who enabled him, the thousands who turned a blind eye, and the culture that once again allowed the brutal treatment of women and men to remain an open secret for years, as long as the perpetrator is rich, famous, and powerful enough.
And that's all for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned until next time.